everyone, Zenero Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and I am just touching up on the video I made previous to this one. If you haven't seen that video yet, please go and watch it. I'll try to leave a link somewhere up here for you guys to check it out, but I went over the last 5 or so, local and webcam tournaments for the Union Arena trading card game. I went through there, I broke down a lot of the, excuse me, topping decks, the percentage of decks that won, and just really try to give everyone a really good idea of where the meta set at in this state of the card game. So what I want to do in this one is now go through each of these tournaments and pick maybe a couple of different deck lists to look at, so that way we can kind of see what some of these winning decks are doing. So not all of them are going to be provided, so you only have to list the top one for experts.dev. So if there are some other 2s and 3s, I'll list them, but we will look at top decks. So I will grab the yellow Saitama, that top from the 21 dash tournament. We'll grab the purple Code Geass and the green One Punch Man from this tournament, since they do have lists for us to see. These tabs are going to get pretty big. I don't think I did this one, the Crimson Kings Locals tournament. Yeah, because this was one that happened on a different date, because this is a later one that we did not cover, and SAO is not available on this one. There we go. This is one of the tournaments I covered, which will be the 2 Bleaches topping, which will be interesting. We will grab all 4 of these deck lists. Well, I'm going to have a lot of tabs open, because we did grab all of those from the tournament. Because if it's over 10 people playing in a tournament, remember I grab the top 4 to put into the thing. Wow, I have my camera there, so I can't even see after all these. There we go. All these tabs I'm going to have up for this video. Alright, so from the Topeka one, we will grab the blue JJK and the green Bleach deck. Let's get all these off of here. And then from this one, we will grab the green One Punch Man and the blue JJK. I think that is just about everything we need on here. From my last 2 videos, sorry if the music was really, really loud. I was doing my production, and I didn't realize that a setting had changed on mine where the audio for the desktop was like insanely cranked up, and I was wondering why it was so loud on there. But hopefully this sounds a little bit better for you guys. You can actually hear me talk a little bit. But I didn't want to waste those videos at all, so I kept them on there. And just trying to go through here and see if we can organize this a little bit for everyone. So we got the 2 purple Bleaches, the One Punch Man, purple Code, blue JJK. Yeah, we got a lot of decks to talk about. I will scoot this down here with the other one, because I think this is the same player. Give me just a second. Blue Sukuna, you are my special. That's a good deck name for this one. I'll put a timestamp of all the videos on here, so you guys don't have to, watch me do this too much, and you can just kind of go based off of what decks you guys want to see. I'm just trying to organize them a little bit here, so we kind of have a nice grouping of all the deck lists, and y'all don't have to see me trying to just go through them. I think it's better to have them kind of situated, because then we can see the difference between the decks, right? Like, that's the main thing about looking up deck lists. If you're just looking up deck lists and like not really checking anything out from them, it's the differences in the decks that we want to see. We want to see the differences, like, oh, okay, these 2 decks top, what are people doing different? All right, so let me make this. That's pretty small. Not going to highly edit this video, because I am trying to get these in before the weekend. I'm going to have a very busy weekend. I'm in between sessions at work. If you didn't know anything about me, you want some personal information, I'm a personal trainer during the day. So that's what I do. I'm in between clients, so I'm trying to make this video before I have to run the card shop this weekend. But getting into it, now will be the time. I will timestamp this to start the video. And this is one of the topping deck lists for One Punch Man Yellow. And this deck is so strong. You're seeing the 4 of copies that everyone has to run for the special and finer triggers. I won't waste too much time trying to talk about those and all these decks because I do expect every deck to run 4 of each of those. Only one of the 1 punch in this deck, which is a little interesting. I'd imagine that I thought most of these should probably be at 2 of in the decks. Some decks don't run it at all, but I think in my brother's build I do have 2 of this card in there, which is a really good deck. And this is where I differ a little bit here. I actually just recently found out that most people are playing the Hellish Blizzard in their deck because then it gives you the draw power you need to see your Saitamas, and that's the main reason you're using her for. That, and then she will let you get the Serious Punch back if you really need it. That way you can go for game in some easy ways. But just another nice raid target to have into the deck. She does generate you the double energies in some of the lines, but really cool to see that they are running 3 of this Hellish Blizzard. And I do think that that is a good tech for the deck, because I think in my brother's build, I just maxed out on the Saitamas, because you do want to see these Saitamas, because they are the way that you answer the game, or answer the board, and clear off bodies and their life. And I do think that this deck, when it high rolls on turn 3, I know you guys have heard me talk about it a lot, and probably tired of me hearing it, but this deck is crazy. If it sees a perfect hand, you just lose. On turn 3, your opponent can play down 2 of these Saitamas if they have the hero to get one of their action points back, if their energy is curved out the right way, and they could put both of these on the board, and now they're hitting you for 4 damage this turn, which is so insane. And then they can just, it's just so much pressure that they put on you from this. It is really nasty to see. I really hate seeing it. I think it's really unhealthy, but whatever. If you see it, and you play this deck and it happens, it's great. I do think the deck plays a little bit different if you don't high roll like that and you're kind of searching your Saitamas, because then the deck is just sitting on the Genoses and the Hellish Blizzards, which then makes it just a normal deck that you can compete with. I do think that these Saitamas not being able to be taken out by card effects is what makes them really so hard to deal with. But I'm going into the deck. That's too much of me talking about these guys. But 4 of the 5/2 Saitama, 2 of the 4/2 Saitama, 4 of the Raid Impact Genos, which is really good. Really cool effect here, being able to win sideline. Play up to 1 character, 1 yellow Genos card with 3 or less required energy and 1 AP cost from your hand set to resting onto your field, which is really good. 3 of the Hellish Blizzard raids, 3 of the double energy Hellish Blizzards, 4 of the double energy Saitama, which this card is really good. Definitely have to run this one out of 4 of. 4 of the Nullify Impact Genos. When he's sidelined due to losing a battle, you get to restand 1 of your Saitamas, which is why this card is so good in the deck, because you block with the Saitama, block with the Genos, Genos dies, and then he lets you restand the Saitamas. Or if your Saitamas are tapped down from the previous turn, then you can use the Genos to stand them back up so they can block. 2 of the Searcher Saitama or Genoses, 1 of the non-alt-art, so just alt-art version of it. 3 of the 0-drop Genoses, a big 0 package in this deck, because this king is just so absolutely important. This is definitely one of the main cards in the deck that you want to see, because this is what lets you let these Saitamas block. So 4 of the 0-drop kings, 4 of the bombs, which just says choose up to 1 character on your field, it gains 1000 BP till the end of the turn. 4 of the Blizzards, and like I said, 3 of the Genoses. Really solid deck list here. Big shout out. Does it tell me? I may have zoomed in too much for me to be able to tell you guys the name of this person, but cool deck list here. Love to see the yellow Saitama deck doing some cool stuff, as much as I really don't like the Saitama cards in the game. But here we go with another yellow One Punch Man deck. And what is different from this deck than the other one? Not a whole lot. Same thing. They are running 4 and 4, and then 1 of the One Punch. 4 of the 0-drop Blizzards. Only 3 of the Genos. 4 of the Bombs. And only 3 of the Kings. So a little bit of a difference between the counts on their zeros, but still running a heavy 0 count, because in this deck you do not want to brick. They're also just running 3 of the Searcher Genoses, the same package of the 3/1, 4 of those Saitamas, 3 of the Hellish Blizzards, the Genoses, the Saitamas are the same, so everything looking to be the same. So probably the same player here in those two decks. I would imagine, but I'm too zoomed in to tell. But Only a difference between the 0 drops, not really any difference at all. Really solid list, though. Really solid list. If you're looking for a good list to play, I would recommend playing this one. I could have been wrong with maxing out on the both of these Saitamas, but I was just in the mind that said that, you know, this Saitama lets you kill their bodies when you play it, which is really, really good, which will help keep you in the game. So I think that I just value this Saitama a little bit more. I know it does cost 2 action points, but that's really not a healthy cost if you're being able to, you know, sideline one of their characters. It does say at the end of the attack phase, place this character on the bottom of your deck. It is a really good card, though. I like this card a lot. So maybe not a 4 of. I'll have to mess around with my deck list. That's why we're doing this. I want to try to like give you guys some knowledge and me also learn some stuff by going through these deck lists and seeing what the good deck lists are that are topping. Alright, going on to Purple Kogias topping deck list. These are the 2 different deck lists. I'll keep them up so we can kind of do a little bit better of a breakdown. And I'll switch up the way I'm doing it. We'll go events, 0 drops, and then switch from there. So in this one, what in the world? Alright, well this is, they're only running 3 of the final triggers. I know that they top, but I do think that this is, you know, absolutely wrong. I don't think that anyone should ever go down on less than 4 of the maximum of their special and final triggers, because that instance of when it does, I know people think about it, oh, well my final only matters if it's the last card, why do I even care about it? Because that does come up, and it literally can win you a game, because the way people play around stuff is that, you know, you do try to play around final triggers, but there's not a lot of times that it literally can just win you the game. That, and it is, hey, take another turn. These cards literally say you get to take another turn. I do think that special triggers and final triggers should always be maxed out at a 4 of. This other person here has maxed their out at a 4 of, and they are also running 1 of the Order of the Black Knights. I know a lot of people are torn on this card, whether they like to play this card or not. I don't play it in mine. I understand why some people play it because they just like the guaranteed search, but there already is so much draw power in this deck that I think that you don't really need a card that searches, especially when it just is just another trigger. Oh, excuse me. I would rather just have another Callan. Like, switch this card out for another Callan, and now you can search and have a body, whereas this card, it does let you get 2 and you don't have to trash anything, so you are putting cards in your hand, but then once you play this card, you don't have a body to block. Say you're in an instance later in the game, and you're top decking, and you just need a blocker, like, I don't know. In that instance, I can see too, because like if you do find 2 cards, now you have 2 cards to play, so you play those 2 cards down. I would rather just have the body and generate the energy, I think. But I do understand why people play the Order of the Knights. So that is the difference between their event cards. Let's touch on their 0 drops. 4 of the Callan, 4 of the 0, and 2 of the C2s. This person is running 4 of the Callan, 3 of the C2s, and only 3 of the 0s, which is a little interesting. But I think since they are running a little bit more of the Lelouches of the higher count, then that is fine for them. And Gawain can go on top of C2s. So really interesting. I think I run a straight 4-4-3 split. I run in my deck 4 0s, 4 Callans, and 3 C2s, but I think that however you feel like you need to see these cards is fine. I do think that the C2 should always be less than the 0 in this instance because he is a get trigger, whereas the C2 is one of the few cards in the deck that is not a trigger, and the deck has a lot of them. So interesting to see these different split ups. It's the same cards, it's just ratios. Everyone's just a little picky, like I'd prefer to see 3 or 4 of this, which is really no big deal at all. Obviously, both decks are running 4 of the Gawain mechs. You have to run this card as a 4 of, the best card in the deck. And then it is usually, you know, a throw up between like what mechs you want to run on the side from that point on, right? They are choosing to go 2 of your opponent must block this character mech, the Gurren, and then 4 of the just pop a 3k or less impact mech. Both of these have an impact for the turn is what makes them so important, and it just determines which one you need to see in any given moment. I can already tell that this person is choosing to run 4 of this one because they are also running the Lelouch, which lets you also reduce DP on their body. And them running 2 of this one means that it makes this mech a little bit better because then you're over to get over 6k power bodies on the board. So I like this combo. So let's see. They're only running 2 of this one. None of the your opponent loses a card. Lelouch. So this person also doing the 3000 Lelouch double energy generator at a 2 of. And then doing a 3-4 split on the mechs. 3 of the must block Gurren and 3 of the Papa 3K, or 4 of the 3K Gurren. I do think that most people are in a lot of agreement that the pop a 3000 or less on the board is definitely a lot better of a generic effect that you can kind of control a lot more, because the Gurren, yes, you make the make you block Gurren is really, really strong impact, making you block. And if they only have one body, it makes it really easy. They have to block that. But the Gurren that makes you pop the 3K is just a little bit more versatile with what you could do. Sometimes you just want to get rid of the body and then make your opponent have to block. Anyways, because you have impact, say they only have 2 bodies or 3 bodies, they're going to have to block this impact. But I like both of the cards. I run them in my deck personally, a 3-3 split of both of them, because I want to see both of them in different instances, and I think a 3-3 split is fine. But you can see here, both of these players, one going at 4-2 and another one going 4-3, meaning that this person's a little bit lower count of mechs, but in the deck, it is still 10 mechs, which is a lot. Now the one on the left, we're going to the 1-drops for the Callan, 3 of the 2-1 Lelouches, 4 of the 2-1 C2s. Let's see here. 4 of the Callan. Yeah, this Callan is just so good. I think running this one out of 4 of is definitely a must. 2 of the C2s, whereas this person is running 4 of. I do think that this list seems a little bit more consistent with all this, you know, drop power, which is why I think, like, why run the Black Knights if you have so much search? You're running 4 of the C2s. So very interesting. This one's only running 2 of the C2s because they want to run the economy Ogi package. Both of them are running 4 of the Lelouches that you have to run the 3-drop. Interesting that this deck, yeah, I still have it all ordered out by cost. Sorry, I'm trying to see why that Callan's not over there in the same spot as the other one is. Whatever. Doesn't matter too much. Anyways, this Callan, some people don't like this Callan because when you look for this Callan, it can only grab a Gurren, and the rest of the cards you have to put on the bottom of the deck. So if you do this search, the top 5, and you don't grab a mech, now that's 5 cards that you were probably hoping that you would see going to the bottom of the deck. So I know why a lot of people are not running a ton of this Callan. I'm in the same instance too. Sometimes when I see this Callan, I'm a little upset because you don't always want her to search. But you got to remember, when you play this card, you don't have to activate her win plate effect. And which is why the reason I kept her in my deck, because once I thought about that and realized that my brain, like, oh, I don't have to, you know, I don't have to use this on play effect when I do it. It makes it a lot better. Like, if you know that you don't want to miss these cards coming up and you already have mechs in your hand and you don't want to search, you don't have to do it. But 4 of that Lelouch, 2 of the 3-1 Callan, and then 3 of the 3-1 double energy, and then 2 of the Callan. So both really interesting, different lists. A couple of different things that are different is them going with the Ogi here, trying to make sure their energy line stays pretty consistent. The Ogi being a 2-1 drop is what kind of helps with the energy line a little more, whereas this person here does not run any 2-drop double energy, so they're going to have to wait a little bit later in the game to get to that 5 energy mark. And now it's making a little more sense why, you know, they're only sitting on the 6 mechs, since they both cost 5, a little bit harder to get into. But that is the differences between the 2 purple Kogias. Both decks looking a little similar to each other, just a couple minor changes here and there. Alright. Boom. Boom. Going on to green One Punch Man. Both are running these 4 of finals and specials. And this is just the same player. It's the same deck list. They have done a good job topping with this deck list. So there is nothing to compare to here. But we will go into what his list is looking like. 4 of each of the Saitamas, which I think is an absolute must. 4 of the 6-1 Silver Fang, which I think is an absolute must out of 4 of. The Terrible Tornado is a card that comes up in contention how many to run. I think 2 is a solid amount, which is what they're playing here. I know that my brother likes this card a little bit more, so he made me up his to a 3 count in his deck because sometimes you just want to be able to add a card. She's also a 4K body, and she generates you double energy, which is really good. Really curious and interesting to see that they went with 3 copies of the Watchman Dog. This card cannot move, but it is a 4K 3 energy, and this card can put in some work on your opponent. On turn 2, if you were able to go second, you could play this guy down, and now you have a 4,000 BP body already on turn 2 that your opponent who's going first is going to get that 3 action point, but they're going to want to answer this guy because it's just a free 4K blocker and attacker nonstop. This card is good. I was sleeping on this card when it came out. 4 of the double energy Genos that reduces is... these Green Saitama lists, I know that this is probably the same person, but even if it's not, they all look the same because a lot of these cards, the only difference are that I think you will see in any of these lists are how many Watchman Dogs, how many Tornadoes do you run, and then everything else is essentially the same. Because you're going to max out on the 0-drop Genos Kings, the Searcher Kings, the Raid Kings, all that stuff gets maxed out. There's not a lot of room to, you know, really deck building this deck. The only things I would say is a little bit different here is I have seen people running the Stingers and the Tank Top Master in different counts. But outside of that, all these One Punch Man green decks are essentially going to look the same outside of a couple random different cards to switch. But in theory, all still works the same. Not a lot of, you know, really creative deck building you can do with the green One Punch Man deck because so many cards have to run a max out 4 of. Now, going on to the purple bleach decks, let's look at these lists here. So we do see the 4 finals in both of them and the specials in both of them, just running different ones depending on the characters they got. But we do have one of these lists running the Department of Research and Development, which is like the same thing for the Kogias deck, except you only get to add 1 because this card only costs 2. You look at the top 5, add 1 card among them to your hand, place the remaining in the bottom of... place 1 card among them into your sideline, place the remaining at the bottom of your deck. So this is just a look at the top 5, grab any card you want, which is so good. And instead of having to trash a card, you get to fuel your sideline, which is what you want to do with this deck. But let's get into the raids. 4 of the Renji raid because it's so good. 4 of the 5 energy Ichigo raid because it is also so good. Interesting to see that they are running one of the double action point Renji, which a lot of lists don't run this card, but it is really good if you don't know what this card does. When played, choose one character on your opponent's front line. It loses 3,000 BP until the end of the turn. It looks very familiar, right? Because this is the same thing that the Lelouch does, which is really, it's a really good generic effect. It does cost you 2 action points, but he is essentially a raid target anyways, right? Because if you play down a normal Renji and then raid over it, it's going to take you 2 action points. Now, yes, that character will be active. This one is not, but at least this one you just pay the 2, and then you pop something 3,000 or less. Really good card. I like this card. It's slept on. And then only 2 of the Ichigo raid 4-drop. Really interesting to see only 4 of this. Maybe because they are running the Searcher card, and they don't want to see that Ichigo as much. They want to see this one, but... there are so many raids in this deck. You can just hard play these things down. I do think that maxing out on the raid targets is the way to go. But interesting to see they're only running 2 of that Ichigo. And then just maxing out the 3-1 double energy Ichigo at 4. The Renji activate main 1 to 4. All their zeros for the Renji, the Ichigo, all at 4. They are running the Ishida as the other 0 energy drop they're running. Only at a 3 of. Which, that is fine. They're still sitting at 11. 3 of the, when active, generate an extra energy Urahara. 3 of the Orihime. This card is so good. I love this art on Orihime here, too. It's really pretty and a really good effect, double bounce energy. And then 4 of your color trigger Ichigos. You have to run this at a 4 of such a good card. Now, what is different from that lens to this one? Well, because this one is running the Byakuya package, which makes it a totally different deck and explains why they're running the other kill spell. And Byakuya is such a good card, running at a 4 of. 4 of the Renji raids, 3 of the Rukia raids, and then also running 2 of the Renji. So cool to see that this double action point Renji is seeing a lot more play now, and it must have to do with being able to answer some bodies on the board that you know, were an issue, that maybe weren't an issue when the deck first came out. Now all these decks do want a way to be able to pop those bodies, and this Renji lets you do it. That and these cards are so versatile because you don't have to just give something minus 3,000 and get rid of it. There could be a body on the board that you want to get rid of, and your opponent, it has a 5k out. Well, now you get to play this Renji, reduce it by 3, and then your Byakuya or other cards can try to pop it. Really cool to see that they're running 3 of the Soy Fan. This is an interesting card. They are running this at a 3 of. It's a 4 energy, 1 action point. If you don't know what it does, it's activate main if on the front line you pay 1 AP. Once per turn, choose up to 1 character with 35 or less BP on your opponent's front line. At the start of your opponent's next turn, sideline that character, then switch this character to resting and move it to your energy line. This is a really, really cool, interesting effect. It's another way to get rid of your opponent's characters, but like in a delayed sense in turn, which is, it's really good. I do think that you have to meet this full requirement. So that you bring her out, move her up from your energy line, you activate it to pay 1, and essentially you cannot attack with her because then you have to be able to switch her to resting and move her. I do think that you have to, I could be wrong on that ruling, but I'm pretty sure you have to do that because that's part of the effect. You have to do the whole effect of this card. Because you have to be able to, it's all one sentence, it's all one thing. You have to be able to move her back. But essentially she's a kill spell. For 3,500 less, you move her up, pay AP. She's like a trade, right? Instead of you blocking me, I'm making sure I'm killing this character because at the start of your turn, I'm going to move her back and then get rid of your character. It's a very interesting card. 4 of the color trigger Byakuya because you have to run that one at a 4 of. 4 of the Ishida, 4 of the Renji, and 4 of the Byakuya 0 drops, all at a 4 of. 3 of the Orihime, we've seen that before. 2 of the Urahara, and 3 of the Rukia. I like this card a lot. Draw 1, then place 1 from your hand to your sideline when attacking. And she's 3,500 for a 3 drop. I like this card a lot. It is really, really good. Very interesting, like very different decks, so not really a lot to compare on. They're just both purple bleach decks, but running different raid packages and all along very different decks. This is a doozy of a video. I'm getting a little thirsty. Sorry. Alright, what do we got next? 1 green bleach, so nothing else to compare it to, but we will go through the list. It is running the 4 finals and specials, which we do see and love to see it. And then the 13 court guards. This is the searcher card that lets you reveal the top 4 and grab 2 13 court guards. Really sucks that this card is not a trigger to draw in the deck, but it's because it's a 2-drop searcher, so you can play this early in the game to get bodies to your hand. A very different list. You can see we're on 4 rows here, so showing that they run a lot of different cards in the deck. I think the one thing you're always going to see at a 4 of is 4 of the Raid Toshis and 4 of his 0-drop. Curious to see how many other Toshis they are running in the deck then. Oh, wow. Very interesting to see them only run 2 of the color trigger Toshis. This dead dig top, but I'm interested to see, like, how did they raid their Toshi so often then? Because they only have 6 targets. I think that this Toshi does need to be a 4 of. I would like to hear, you know, if I could talk to the person who made the deck, why only 2 of this Toshi? It's a 3,000 plus BP. It's your color trigger. It's a target for you to raid on. You're running 4 of the Toshis, so you do want to be able to raid the Toshi. I don't understand this part of the build so much. I'm assuming since they did top in the tournament, that this card did well enough and they were able to see it, but I think that you have to max out on this Toshi, absolutely. So I don't agree with this part of the deck, but they did perform well, so kudos to them. But I do think that if you are building your deck, you need to put forward this Toshi in your deck for sure. Going on to the other big bodies, they are running 2 of the 5. Oh, this explains why they're not running the Toshi, because this is Yamato is also a color trigger, so you can only run 4 color triggers in the deck. But this card is taken away from the Toshi to be able to raid. So let's see what he does. This character generates energy even if it's on the front line, which is really, really good. During your turn, your opponent's characters that lose to this character in battle. Your opponent's character that lose to this character in battle are placed into the removal area instead of being sidelined, which is a great counter against the purple bleach deck. So maybe in this tournament they were playing against purple bleach and they knew it was coming up. But outside of that, I don't know if I agree with this card too much. It is a really strong card, and it is an awesome tech going into certain decks with blue JJK, purple bleach, and other, you know, green Saitama. So it is a good meta tech because you just get to put those cards into the sideline instead. But your opponent could just not block, right? Just don't block this guy and you're fine. Then you don't have to lose the cards. If the cards you do want to lose, you could play around it. I do like this card. I do like the creative deck building. I do just think that the Toshis just mean so much that you need to run it out of 4 of. But I could see a deck that isn't based around Toshi wanting to run this guy and then making this the star of the show because it could be really, really strong. I'd like to see this. I like to see creative deck building. Even though I don't agree with the Toshis, I do like to see creative deck building. This is a good tech into the current metagame. 3 of the 2 action point Kenpachis. Keep believing in the Kenpachi, y'all, because we're going to get that raise soon. It's going to be so good. But this guy is just absolutely so strong. He's your kill spell. He has impact. He's a big body. And it is really, really strong. 4 of the 4 energy 1 action point Kenpachi, which is definitely one of these stars of the deck because he's a 5k body. And that is really, really rough to deal with considering you can't reduce his BP. This Kenpachi, I honestly hate seeing more than this one. When they drop this one down, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I got ways to get around this one. This Kenpachi is so strong. Glad to see it at a 4 of. And then just a lot of 1 and 2 ofs. We'll go through them. 2 of the Nullify Impact, which I do think Nullify Impacts are good. 2 of the Issei Bouncer. 2 of the Yachiru, which is a really good card in combination with this Kenpachi because you play this Kenpachi, you play him on your front line, you use the 2 energy for that, you blow up one of their characters, and then you play the Yachiru, which lets you, when played, choose a Kenpachi and put it to active. So that's the combo there. It's really the only time it comes up too much outside of playing this Kenpachi and then using this card to make it active, which is a really, really good of. I was trying to build a deck based around only Kenpachis in this card earlier in the game, and it was a little slower, but maybe now with some cool stuff, I might take the idea that this person has, maybe build a green bleach deck and not run Toshi's, which I know Toshi's the best card, but just to build something different. Maybe base it around this guy, because I do like this card. A very interesting idea. 3 of the Sanjin double energy generators, the step. 2 of the Shinjin, which gives the impact when played, which is really, really good. And then, like we said, 2 of the Toshi, 2 of the Izuru, and 2 of the Unohana. And then, obviously, 2 of the Raid Unohana down here at the bottom that I almost forgot. So, just being happy enough with 6 raid targets for their raid characters. And the Unohana, I could see only being in a 2 of because she does cost 6. It is a lot, and you're really trying not to go any higher than that. So, the Unohana is really, really good card. I love Unohana. She's my favorite from the show. Okay, let's do this. Going to Blue JJK. Let's look at these events and sites. 4, 4, 4, and 2, and then 4, 4, 4, and 2. Exactly the same on the events. I do think a lot of people are probably in agreement that that is what is the most consistent at the moment. 4 of your fingers, 4 of your specials, 4 of your finals, and then 2 of your sites. 4 UGs in one list, but not 4 UGs in the other list, which is very, very interesting. Both of them running 4 of the color trigger UGs, which is also really cool. I know a lot of people don't like this UG because it feels bad sometimes, I think. But I do think that is needed in the deck. You have to run this at a 4 because it is your color trigger and it is your double energy generator. Yes, you do have to pay the 2 action points, but you're getting a 3-drop double energy that balances something, which is just super, super strong. They are both also running 4 of the double energy UG, which just says during your opponent's turn, he becomes a 4K if you have a finger in your sideline, which this card is really, really good too. And glad to see that both of these people are playing this one, because I've seen this like come out of people's lists sometimes, and I don't understand it because it is so strong. It's so strong. Going to these Sukunas, they are running 4 and 2, and then 4 and 3. I could get behind that. I like both of these Sukunas. Neither of them are running the big Sukuna, which I'm a big believer in. I don't know if you guys like the big Sukuna that lets you return the 3 back to hand. I do think it is a card that helps you win against the mirror match, big time. In the mirror match, if you're the one that has that Sukuna and they don't, say it's later in the game and they're pushing your board, you play that card, you bounce the cards back to their hand, and they're in a tough, tough spot to come back from that, because now you have your whole board and they don't have a way to get rid of 3 bodies, whereas you did. I do like that at least at a 1 or a 2 of in the decks. I know the space is really, really tight though, right? Like these lists have a lot of the same cards. 2 of the Makis in one list, 2 of the Makis in the other list. I got 4 Makis in my deck. I love that card. It's just really, really good. I like it a lot. I know I missed out on the triggers from it, but that's okay. Two of the double energy Gojos in both lists, which makes sense. Two of the bounce Nobaras here in both of the lists. And then 444 down the line of all of these cards. Not the same list. Just only a difference is the raids, right? Just choosing to run 4 and 2 and 4 and 3. Am I blind? What's the other difference? Oh, this one's only choosing to run 3 of the raid Yujis. Really? I think the raid Yuji always needs to be a 4 of. I could be wrong. I just think he's so important in the deck. Really, really strong card. But choosing to go down on 3 of him to probably up the Sukuna to 3, which does help you search your fingers. It doesn't matter that much. You're gonna see all these cards. That's still 10 raids that you get. You get to raid on top of all these Yujis. You get to run so many Yujis in this deck, which is really, really good. This deck is not going anywhere. It is a really strong deck. But I know this was a doozy as a video. Thank you to everyone for sticking around. I did want to go over all these lists. That way you guys could see what these decks look like. I know I talked a lot about each one and like what I thought about the cards. On the next one, I'll just try to go over the list. Let me know what y'all want. Do y'all like when I talk about the cards and try to give y'all a little bit better understanding of things? Or do you just want me to go through the list on these videos? I'm trying to, get certain videos, a style, a way of doing it. Let me know in the comments. Talk about the deck list, the differences, and that's it. Or continue to talk about that and also add my input. I just want to know what you guys want to see, right? But I do appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. Please leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm having so much fun making all these videos. I love doing this. This is a ton of fun. But I'll see y'all out there. Peace.